in my mind, it was one thing. And then when you go back and watch it, you're confronted with what it actually is. And I find that those two things don't always line up. So I finally watched that movie, Dunkirk. Kind of got me thinking about Christopher Nolan as a director because he doesn't make movies that often these days. He made Tenet a couple years ago, and Dunkirk, he did the whole Batman series, which was great. But sort of as time goes on, I've kind of caught myself thinking, like, is Christopher Nolan as great of a director, eye for cinematography, all that, as I thought he was back when he did Inception and Dark Knight and films like that? It's a tough question because I think for a long time I've really liked Christopher Nolan, and I thought something that was kind of funny about Dunkirk was, like, if you didn't tell me that it was a Christopher Nolan movie, as soon as you start watching it, it's very clear that it is. Like, the opening of Dunkirk looks so similar to The Dark Knight Rises and a lot of the cinematography from Inception. And, you always know it's a Christopher Nolan movie if Cillian Murphy and Tom Hardy are in it. That's a pretty good giveaway. It's definitely a Chris Nolan movie. Also, Harry Styles is in Dunkirk. It's kind of fun. I don't know. I think he has a really interesting filmmaking style and storytelling style. I think, like, some of the, like, dialogue in Dunkirk and even, like, some of the Batman movies, I was going back and I was like, this is not good. Like, this is, at least to me, it seemed like the dialogue was kind of, like, weird or cringy at times, which was weird to think now, because there was a time when I was like, Christopher Nolan is the greatest director ever. Like, I was one of those people. I still think I think that's kind of where I'm, like, in between, because I still think he's really good. Like, even though I didn't, like, enjoy Dunkirk that much, which is more on me, because, like, I'm just not a big war movie person. Like, there's certain things that I don't need simulated, and I think, like, war is one of them, because, like, in war, people die for real, right? This isn't John Wick, where he can get, like, the shit beaten out of him for a lot of the movie and just be totally fine, like, jumping out of really tall buildings and getting shot at and shooting people and all that. I don't know how I'm going to edit this video. This is kind of just me talking about my feelings on Christopher Nolan. Is Christopher Nolan the sort of director that is good on his own? Like, how much of his success, I don't know if success is the right word, but, like, there's a lot that goes into, like, Christopher Nolan almost feels like a brand, right? Because it's like, if there's Christopher Nolan, then there's Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, Hans Zimmer is, like, probably doing the soundtrack, which, like, as much as I probably wasn't super interested in Dunkirk as a film, it looked beautiful, and the soundtrack it's incredible. Hans Zimmer is, like, probably my favorite soundtrack composer ever. I don't know, I'm like 29, so it's not a very long way to look back, but he's incredibly talented. And that's another thing. It's like, you can tell it's a Chris Nolan film, and then when you hear the music, you also know that's definitely a score from Hans Zimmer, which I just find interesting. Like, anytime somebody's work is so synonymous with them. And I don't know, it's like, part of me kind of wishes that not all of his films looked the same, which is weird because they all look really good. But at the same time, I guess, like, now I saw the Batman, and so it had me thinking back to when Matt Reeves did the Planet of the Apes movies. I don't know. I guess maybe the third one could sort of feel like the Batman, but those films don't. That feels like somebody who's evolved. No pun intended. And Christopher Nolan, I guess, like, maybe he was already so talented that there wasn't really, it's hard for Christopher Nolan to, like, top himself because he's already so good. But I think at the same time, like, there's a novelty in a director or just any sort of creator kind of, like, upgrading as they go along. But a lot of that is based on, like, where they were when they started. And if you're Chris Nolan and you basically start as already ultra talented with an incredible eye for cinema, then it's hard to kind of go beyond that. And so, like, I don't know, because at the same time, then it's like, should he change his style? Like, he's working on another war movie right now, and I know a lot of people like Dunkirk. It was nominated for a bunch of awards, and it's good. Like, as a film, that was the other thing. It's like, as a film, it's good. Everything about it is super high quality. But I just kept feeling like, Christopher Nolan, like, does he have anything left to say? Like, did he already say all of it with Batman trilogy? And I think, like, then it got me thinking back to the Batman trilogy. And I was like, those movies as good as I thought they were when I first saw them? Like, I still think, I've seen, like, scenes and whatnot, like the interrogation scene, The Dark Knight is great. I think the opening scene of Dark Knight Rises, and when Bane hits up the stock exchange, I think those are just, like, fantastic scenes in films. They're all really well done. And the films are really well done. But, like, I don't know. I'm kind of in this space that I've, like, kind of been at for a little bit of, like, how do I feel? How do we feel about Christopher Nolan right now? Like, how do we feel about the guy who previously was, like, one of the greatest, seen as the greatest director currently going? And it's not that he's, like, been passed by anyone, because I don't ever want this to feel like it's some competition, because then everybody gets real weird and start yelling at each other about who's the greatest of whatever. It's like, nobody cares. Who cares who the greatest? Who cares who you think the greatest is? Not important. But I think it's just like, you know, as fans, you do sometimes find yourself asking, like, is this thing that I like actually good? Or, like, is it as good as I remember it? Like, I don't watch a lot of movies multiple times, but, like, sometimes with Christopher Nolan stuff, when I, like, go back and watch old scenes that I really liked, kind of like, does this hold up? Like, in my mind, it was one thing, and then when you go back and watch it, you're confronted with what it actually is. And I find that those two things don't always line up the way that I'm expecting them to. And so I don't know. A lot of this video is just a guy on the internet rambling about Christopher Nolan. And I don't know. Also, don't watch a war movie like when there's an actual war in real life going on, because it's just going to bum you out super hard.